The first thing I felt was impact, a sudden, brutal thud in my chest, like someone had slammed an invisible fist straight into my ribs. It happened the moment I saw her. My wife, my Myra, leaning into another man's space, her smile grazing that dangerous line between innocence and invitation. The dim amber lights of the lounge wrapped around them like a spotlight, as if the whole room had been choreographed to expose the exact angle of her wrist touching his shoulder. Half the guests were laughing, glasses clinking, music humming, but all those sounds blurred into a dull hum behind the ringing in my ears. "Told you it'll work," her friend Sana whispered behind me, amusement thick in her voice. Making a husband jealous always brings some spark back. Spark. That word hit like poison. I should have turned around right then, walked out, swallowed my pride and told myself it was nothing. But my body betrayed me. I froze, watching them like a man trapped inside his own skin. He said something to her. Something low. Something only she could hear. Her head tilted back, just slightly, and she laughed, soft, breathy, a sound I used to believe belonged to me. My hands curled into fists. I could almost taste metal on my tongue. She looked beautiful. And that made it worse. Her hair was loose, brushing her collarbone, her lips glossed, her dress clinging to her like someone had designed it to break me. She looked alive in a way I hadn't seen in months. Alive in a way she didn't look with me. He leaned closer. She didn't step away. My heartbeat tripped into a sprint. This wasn't harmless. This wasn't fun. This wasn't a joke. Some instinct older than thought, told me that the line was already crossed, that whatever I was seeing was only the surface. Someone called my name. I didn't respond. Someone brushed past me. I didn't notice. My world narrowed to that scene, her fingers lingering on his sleeve, their shadows merging on the wall behind them. Then she saw me. A tiny flicker of guilt shot across her face, so quick she probably thought I'd missed it. But I didn't. And for the first time in 10 years of marriage, I felt like a stranger to the woman I loved. She came to me later that night, careful, cautious, almost scared. "Aham, are you okay?" Her voice wavered, though she tried to hide it. "It wasn't serious. They told me to do it. To tease you a little." "Tease?" I asked, my voice flat. "Yes." She placed a hand on my arm. "It was supposed to be funny. Just to see you react." I pulled my hand away on reflex. Her eyes widened. That was the first time I saw it. The fracture. The tiniest crack in our marriage. She tried to laugh it off in the car. "Aham, come on. You know me. It was just a stupid dare." But the laugh didn't reach her eyes. And my silence didn't soothe her. The next days were strange. She hovered around me more than usual. Her conversations felt rehearsed. She was attentive, but a nervous kind of attentive, like someone constantly checking if a wound had stopped bleeding. And something in her had changed. Small things. Warning signs. A new perfume. Late-night calls with her friends, except she'd step out of the room. A new password on her phone. Excuses that felt like they were stitched together a little too quickly. Just tired. Just stressed. Just with Sana. Just a script discussion. Script. She hadn't written anything in years. But she said it so confidently, so effortlessly, that for a moment I believed her. Until I saw the photo. It was an Instagram story, posted by one of Sana's friends. Blurry but unmistakable. A doorway, dim lights, and Myra standing with him. Same man from the party. His arm behind her. Her hand resting on his chest. Her smile, God, her smile, looked like it was meant for him. And the caption. Why did I agree to this? Face with tears of joy, face with tears of joy. His reply. Because you owe me. Winking face. Owe him. For what? My stomach clenched so hard I nearly doubled over. I showed her the photo that evening. She didn't deny it. She didn't get defensive. She simply whispered, "Please, don't read too much into that." Too much. How much was appropriate to read into your wife smiling like that with another man? Then came the messages. Accidental flashes of notifications on her lock screen. Names I didn't recognize. A tone I had never heard from her before, light, flirty, almost hungry. I tried not to look. I tried to trust her. But the human mind is cruel to itself. One evening, while she showered, her phone lit up. I didn't touch it. I didn't unlock it. I only saw one line. "Missed you today." And her reply underneath. "Me too." The words hit me like a blade, clean and deep. It felt like something inside me fell. A collapse I didn't know I could feel. That night I lay beside her, staring at the ceiling, listening to her breathe. She slept peacefully, unaware that something in me had snapped. I turned slightly, watched the rise and fall of her chest. "Did you already leave me?" I whispered to myself, "or are you just practicing?" My eyes burned. I didn't sleep. The truth finally cracked open a week later. Not in a dramatic confrontation. Not through a confession. But through something small. A note in her laptop titled "Weekend Ideas." Times. Locations. Museums. Cafes. Long drives. Every entry matched the days she had told me she was caught up in work. And beside one of the dates, typed in a different font, "Bring the blue scarf. She loves when people notice." I stared at that line for a full minute. The blue scarf. The one I gifted her. The one she only wore on special occasions. My vision blurred. My breath came sharp. Something hot pressed behind my eyes. And in that moment, the denial I had been clinging to finally died. That night she found me in the living room, her hair wet, face soft, robe loosely tied. She looked tired, guilty, human. "Aham," she whispered. "Why are you sitting in the dark?" I held up the printed page. She froze. "Myra," I asked quietly, "are you meeting him?" She swallowed hard. Her lips trembled. "Yes," she whispered. "But..." The but tasted like betrayal. "I'm not cheating," she said quickly, desperately. "We just talk. He helps me with writing. He understands a side of me I haven't used in years." "The part you don't get to use here?" I asked, remembering the way her eyes had lit up at the party. She shut her eyes. Then I asked the question I had been avoiding. The question that would split the world open. "Are you sleeping with him?" Her breath shook. "No," she whispered. "Not yet." Not yet. Those two words destroyed whatever was still standing inside me. If betrayal had a sound, it was that. A quiet admission of a door already half open. In the days that followed, life felt like walking across a frozen lake, hearing soft cracks beneath each step. She brought him to dinner as a friend. As if putting him in plain sight would make the danger disappear. He shook my hand with polite confidence, laughed at my jokes, complimented my cooking. Anyone else would have thought he was harmless. But I saw the looks he gave her. I saw the way she leaned toward him. I saw the silent language between them. A language I no longer spoke. And for the first time in our marriage, I felt like an outsider in my own home. Still, I didn't explode. Didn't accuse. Didn't yell. Because love makes you stupid. Because hope destroys logic. Because I wasn't ready to accept the truth. But truth doesn't wait for permission. It finds you. One Wednesday night. The night she said she was editing with Sana. I found a hotel receipt in her coat pocket. 1 room. 2 hours. Downtown. My hands shook. When she came home, her hair was slightly messy, her cheeks a little flushed. She looked different. "Good work session?" I asked. She nodded quickly. Too quickly. I showed her the receipt. Her expression faltered. "I needed a quiet place," she said. "Alone. To think." "Alone?" "Yes." She lied so smoothly it almost hurt. But her eyes told me everything I didn't want to hear. I reached my breaking point 3 days later. My body moved before my brain decided. I drove to the hotel. Walked down the hallway. Stopped at room 214. And knocked. The door opened. And there she was. Hair undone. Robe tied loosely. Eyes widening. Behind her. The same man. And on the table. The blue scarf. The sound in my chest wasn't a heartbeat anymore. It was collapse. She whispered, "Aham." I stepped inside. Silence thickened around us. He straightened. She froze. The scarf lay between us like evidence. I didn't shout. Didn't cry. Didn't break. I simply said, in a voice that felt hollow, "I guess this wasn't a joke anymore." Her lips trembled. "I'm sorry." And strangely, that hurt more than everything else. Because sorry meant it was real. When I walked out into the night, rain poured over the city. The lights smeared. The streets echoed. My reflection in the puddles looked like a man who'd been emptied out from the inside. And the worst part, I still loved her. Even as she broke me. Even as I realized love wasn't protection. It was vulnerability. The part of me that wanted to forgive her. And the part that wanted to never see her again. Warred inside me until I felt physically sick. That night, I knew one thing. Whatever happened next would change everything forever. The morning after I walked out of that hotel room, the world felt wrong. Too quiet. Too clean. Too normal. Like life had the audacity to continue even though something inside me had been dragged out and left bleeding in the backseat of my car. I barely slept. My pillow still smelled like her shampoo. My chest felt tight, sore, as if heartbreak had weight, and mine had settled like a stone just beneath my ribs. Myra didn't call. Not that night. Not the next morning. Not until nearly noon. When a single message appeared on my screen. "Come home. Please." I stared at it for a long time. Then I drove. When I entered the apartment, she was sitting on the floor in the living room, knees pulled tight to her chest. Her eyes were swollen, her face pale, her hair tied up in a messy knot like she hadn't slept either. She looked up. And the moment our eyes met, she broke. A sound tore out of her, something raw and jagged. She crawled to me, clutching my shirt, burying her face into my stomach. "Aham, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Her body shook. I didn't touch her. My arms hung at my sides. Frozen between instinct and betrayal. "Why?" I finally whispered. Her grip tightened. "I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I swear I didn't." I slowly pried her hands off me. Gently. But firmly. "Tell me the truth," I said. "All of it." She looked up, eyes glassy. Nothing physical happened. Not once. Not even in that room. We met to talk, because he wanted clarity. Because I thought I owed him an explanation. "Do you hear yourself?" I said quietly. "You owed him." A tear slid down her cheek. I know how it sounds. I'm not asking you to believe me, not yet. Just let me explain." I didn't answer. But I sat down. What she said next wasn't an excuse. It was a confession. "I liked the attention," she whispered. "I liked feeling exciting again. Not routine. Not predictable. Not just someone you come home to after work. I forgot what it felt like to be seen." Seen. That word again. It stung deeper than any lie. Because it meant the person who was supposed to see her, the man she married, had somehow failed. Aham. I felt invisible. And then suddenly someone looked at me like I was something. And I didn't. I asked. She flinched. "You did. Once. Maybe still. I don't know. But something in me changed. Or broke." Her voice cracked. "But I swear, I didn't want a relationship with him. I didn't want to ruin us. I just got addicted." I said. Her silence was the answer. "We tried therapy. Not because we were strong. But because we were desperate. Every session was a battlefield disguised as a conversation. Some days she cried. Some days I did. Some days, both of us walked out silent, wounded, unable to look at each other. The therapist asked her, "What did he give you that your husband didn't?" Her reply was a knife wrapped in softness. "He made me feel new." And when the therapist asked me, "Why do you want to stay?" my answer surprised even me. "Because I still see the woman I married. And I don't want this to be the end of our story." But wanting and healing are not the same thing. Trust doesn't grow back like hair. It grows like bone, slow, painful, crooked. Weeks passed. Then months. We rebuilt routines. Slowly. Awkwardly. Carefully. She deleted his number. She unfollowed him everywhere. She let me see her messages without hesitation. And for the first time in months, she tried. Really tried. Sometimes she stayed up late writing again, finally alone with her thoughts instead of feeding off someone else's validation. Sometimes she sat beside me on the couch, leaning into me like she used to. Sometimes we slept tangled like we were afraid to lose each other in the night. And sometimes, I woke up in a cold sweat. A flash of her in that hotel doorway burning behind my eyelids. Recovery is not linear. Neither is forgiveness. Then one evening, 5 months after that night, I found something. A folder on her desk titled, Draft, the Blue Scarf. My stomach dropped. But I opened it. It wasn't a love story. It wasn't a fantasy. It wasn't a letter to him. It was a script. Raw. Honest. Bleeding on the page. A story about a woman who let attention become a drug. Who let loneliness turn into temptation. Who wanted to feel alive but forgot to protect what already kept her alive. In the margin of the last page, she had written, "This is not about him. This is about the part of me I almost lost. And the part of us I'm trying to save." I closed the laptop. My hands shook. My breath stilled. Because for the first time, I felt her grief too. The guilt she carried. The fear. The shame. The desire to undo what couldn't be undone. And something in me softened. Not healed. Not forgiven. Just softened. Like a scar that stopped hurting when pressed. 6 months later, my father died. Grief doesn't ask for permission. It arrives like a thief. And Myra was there. Not out of obligation. Not out of guilt. But because she loved me. Truly. Fiercely. Quietly. She handled calls. Arranged documents. Cooked for my mother. Held me when I broke. At the funeral, she read one of my father's favorite poems. Her voice trembled. But her hands didn't. And as she stood there, steady, gentle, present, I realized something. This woman had hurt me deeply. But she was also the only one who knew how to hold me through this grief. Love is strange like that. It wounds and heals with the same hands. After the service, my cousin pulled me aside. "Someone came up to Myra today," he said. "Some woman." They talked intensely for a few minutes. Looked serious. A familiar coldness crawled up my spine. Old wounds twitched. Old fear resurfaced. But I breathed slowly. I walked into the kitchen, where she was pouring tea. "Myra," I asked softly, "who was that woman at the funeral?" She looked up, surprised. "Oh, an old classmate. She's part of a writer's grant committee. She said she liked my draft and wants to help me apply." I stared at her carefully, waiting for that tiny flicker. The one that used to betray her. But this time, there was none. Just honesty. Plain and simple. I exhaled. A laugh slipped out, small, tired, relieved. She softened. "That's all?" I asked. She stepped closer. "That's all." This wasn't a perfect ending. It wasn't a movie reconciliation. No dramatic kiss. No sudden miracle. But it was real. We didn't return to who we were. We became something different. More fragile. More transparent. More aware of the cost of losing each other. The betrayal didn't vanish. The memory didn't fade. What changed was this. We chose to keep building. Not because it was easy. Not because everything was fixed. But because despite the damage, despite the pain, despite the fracture, there was still love. Damaged. Exhausted. But alive. And sometimes, that's enough to begin again.